What's going on, guys? So we gotta talk about Captain America Brave New World, but in particular, Sam Wilson as Captain America. So one of the many controversial topics being discussed online right now in relation to this film is Sam Wilson being Captain America. And it's quite interesting because I noticed that this discourse seems to be very similar to discourse happening about another character, but nevertheless, let's stay on topic. So there's a part of this discourse that many aren't talking about, and that's the issue with legacy characters. I believe legacy characters can be a bit problematic depending on the context, which I need to do a whole video to unpack, and it actually ties into that other discourse that I just mentioned. But when it comes to legacy characters, Sam Wilson is unique because he wasn't created as a legacy character. He was the Falcon for a very long time. So here's my controversial take, and I've mentioned this in other videos. I don't think Sam Wilson should be Captain America, and I felt this way long before they made it official in the comics, but it's not for the reason you think. Does he deserve to be Captain America? Absolutely. I just don't think he should, and I'll explain why. Sam Wilson being Captain America in a way is character regression in my opinion, and you'd have to understand the history of Sam Wilson and his journey as a hero to really grasp why. Most of you might know the Falcon to typically wear a red costume, but that wasn't always the case. See, when Sam Wilson first became the Falcon, his costume was actually green, and a lot of people don't know this, but he didn't have any wings either. But there's actually a bit of history behind the red costume and the reason he got it. So sometime after Sam began teaming up with Steve Rogers, he began to receive backlash from the rest of the black community, partly because he was now Captain America's partner. In fact, they started calling him things like Uncle Tom to imply that he was a traitor to the community by working with Captain America and taking orders from him. So what happened was, this tension almost led to a huge riot within the black community by a group of revolutionaries from Harlem, calling themselves the People's Militia. But it was actually later revealed in the story that the leader of the People's Militia was the Red Skull in disguise, and he'd formed this movement to exploit the hardships of those within the black community at the time. So after Sam and Steve had unmasked the Red Skull as the leader of the People's Militia, they had to prevent the riots from escalating. But though they were able to stop the riots, Sam began to question if he was doing enough for his community, given that their movement was easily infiltrated and exploited. And could they have been right about him being an Uncle Tom? And this led to him having a bit of an identity crisis, if you will. So in order to prove that not only was he not an Uncle Tom as they referred to him, but he was just as good a hero as Steve, Sam ditched his green costume and got a new one, which is how he initially got the red costume. And to further prove to the black community that he was just as good a hero on his own, and a hero that represented them, he stopped being Captain America's partner. So for a short period, the Falcon and Captain America had split up, and I mean really short. I think it was maybe 2 to 3 issues. And it's important to understand the context here. Back in those times, the black community didn't really see Captain America as one of their heroes, for obvious reasons. The Falcon became one of those heroes, and opened the door to similar heroes like Luke Cage and Black Lightning. I think this was actually a year before they created Luke Cage. So after Steve and Sam became partners again, one day Sam got jumped by a group of men. And of course he doesn't have any powers, so Steve had to be the one to save him. And this made Sam a little frustrated because Steve is a super soldier, so he was doing most of the heavy lifting. Remember, the black community claimed that Sam was nothing without Captain America, and he wanted to prove them wrong. So Sam realized that getting a new costume wasn't enough. He needed some sort of edge if he was going to continue as a hero. This is when they enlisted the help of Black Panther to come up with some sort of device that could help him. And you know, this bit of dialogue is quite interesting for how similar it is to the conversation people are having about Sam Wilson getting the super soldier serum, now that he's Captain America, which I told you guys wouldn't even be a thing if they just left him as the Falcon. It's like history repeating itself. Anyway, back to the story. So using their Wakandan technology, Black Panther had them develop a set of wings with jets on the tips that were powered through solar energy, which were linked to his brain. So as the Falcon, Sam now had a new costume and he could fly. So let's put all this into perspective. The purpose of Sam's red costume and his wings was to prove that he was a good enough hero without Captain America and for his community. So having him become Captain America kinda makes most of his journey as a hero meaningless. And I want to throw in the fact that during that journey, even Steve Rogers could see that Sam felt like he was living in his shadow, not having any powers, which is why he was easily on board with Sam upgrading his gear. And if you read most of the comics when Sam was first created, most of his stories involved Captain America. It wasn't until he got a new costume and his wings that he began getting solo stories that didn't involve Captain America. So again, him getting a new costume and gear was really about him coming out of Captain America's shadow, which I showed you guys is something he struggled with. So he's basically right back in that shadow, because whose legacy is he carrying on now? Not his own, he's carrying on Steve Rogers' legacy. And this is why I personally believe that a more meaningful ending to Falcon and the Winter Soldier would have been to have Sam Wilson give back the shield. Yes, reject the shield because he's a good enough hero as the Falcon. And in case you guys might think I'm talking out of my ass, there's actually a book where they focused on having Sam build his own legacy as the Falcon, and this was after he gave back the shield. But they did a complete U-turn and made him Captain America again for some reason. So I'll say this. If you're on the side of wanting him to be Captain America, that's perfectly fine. I just disagree. Like I said, I believe it defeats the purpose of an important arc in his journey as a hero. Sam Wilson was always better as the Falcon. But anyway, these are just my thoughts. Let me know yours down in the comments. If you guys enjoyed the video, like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.